Welcome back to House TV Live. I'm Rick Spence, and with me today is Mitchell Parker from our editorial team, and he's got some trends for 2021. This is always a great article. Everyone looks forward to it. So, Mitchell, really excited to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. So every year, the editorial team kind of takes the opportunity to look back on the previous year, see what was popular, and then kind of look at what will be popular in the coming year. So we look at past articles, we look through hundreds of photos, we review House research, and we talk to dozens of pros on House to kind of formulate what we think will be big in home design in the coming year.
So let's whittle it down to what we think are maybe sort of the 10 hottest trends for 2021. And if folks want to dive in deeper, they got the full article and all the good stuff there.
Sounds
So
good.
why don't we start in the kitchen? That's a favorite spot. What's happening in the kitchen?
Yeah, so one of the trends we looked at is, traditionally designers talk about the work triangle, right? It's kind of the natural footpath between the refrigerator, the sink, the cooking area. You kind of move back and forth between these various zones. But, today homeowners, expect so much out of their kitchens that we're seeing multiple zones added into this work path. We kind of call it a work trapezoid or something because you think about the shape of it. You've got a coffee station, you've got a baking station, you've got a prep station, in addition to the cooking station. So, we see homeowners who like to cook with their partner in the house or, have kids come in and grab a drink and not be in the footpath of the person cooking. So the kitchen is kind of really expanded into these multiple zones. And we've been seeing that in this photo here that you have here is a really good example. You have this baking center in the far back wall there so that it's kind of out of the regular path and it's kind of a destination that you can go to get some work done and, stay out of the way of the other people in the kitchen.
People love those baking centers.
Yeah, it's huge. And we saw a lot of baking in this previous year, people spending more time at home. They want to get their baking stuff in order. So, a lot of people learned how to bake, sourdough starters, all this kind of stuff. So, we think that's going to carry over into 2021 for sure.
Get your baking on. You have a baking center there? What are you working on?
Not a center, it's a cabinet, man. It's a cabinet and drawer. But, I've got two kids and they've really enjoyed baking in these previous months and they've gotten really good at it. So, who doesn't like to bake?
Absolutely. Okay, so what about some style in the kitchen? What's happening with some of the materials and what's going on there? Backsplashes and countertops. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, so the biggest thing we saw in backsplashes, I would say, is something called Zillige tile. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it's kind of this Moroccan handmade tile. And it's kind of different than the Moroccan style tiles we've seen in the past that are very brightly patterned and intricate. You find them on the floors and sometimes on backsplashes, but these are just simple, small, square tiles with kind of a handmade look and a glossy finish on them. Subway tile backsplashes still remain super popular, but for somebody who wants something kind of similar, but enough of a departure, these tiles are just really taking off. Just a beautiful tile and very simple, and we're definitely going to see a lot more of it in the coming year. Also in the kitchen, touchless faucets are really starting to take off. Hand washing was front and center of everybody's minds in this previous year. We saw a lot of faucet manufacturers come out with lines that featured voice-activated faucets, touchless faucets. There's one faucet that we show here that kind of has this button on the end, so you can kind of bump it with a forearm or bump it with an elbow. So if your hands are dirty, you're not kind of worrying about touching and spreading bacteria throughout the kitchen. And then this one from Kohler is completely hands-free. It's voice-activated, and they even launched a new feature where you can connect it to a Google Home or a Amazon Alexa device, and it will talk you through the CDC guidelines of hand washing so that you can kind of make sure that you're following the right steps.
It count you down. 20, 19, 18, almost
If
finished.
you don't follow the steps, I don't know if they let you go or what, but hopefully they let you off the hook.
Sorry, I cannot wash your hands, Mitchell. Right? What happens when it denies you access or something, right?
Looks like you still have something under that pinky nail.
Right,
Try again.
Yeah, that's really good for making meatballs too. When I do meatballs, it's always an issue. I've got to kind of do the elbow to turn the
handling chicken or meat or something.
Whatever,
you don't want to be touching stuff. So I'm very conscious of that. So something like this feature would really make life a little bit easier.
All right, let's go into another space in the home with a lot of hard surfaces, the bathroom. What are we seeing in the bathroom?
Well, what we mentioned earlier, that same Zillige tile is found everywhere. We've seen some colors of that same tile in the bathroom. But one of the biggest things, and it's really nothing new, but a curbless shower, some people call them barrier-free showers, where the main floor kind of just continues into the shower. You do have to keep in mind how the tile is going to drain. You've got one continuous floor, so you got to keep in mind how you're going to transition the material, or if you're going to keep the tile the same. How are you going to do the shower enclosure? So there's kind of some technical things to it, but definitely a feature that is catching on.
And it's great for aging in place too, when they do sort of a wider berth to get in and out. You can, I know a lot of people are thinking maybe not now, but down the road. So when they're building sort of their, dream home, they're kind of thinking in advance, and curbless makes a lot of sense there too.
Yeah, even a low barrier that's just a couple inches can kind of be difficult to navigate. You still got to take that step into it. You can't really get a wheelchair into it, lift a walker into it. So definitely the curbless is something that anybody who plans to age in place or is interested in universal design will definitely want to consider.
What about some of the bigger materials, the bigger choices in the space?
We're seeing a lot of slab materials, quartz countertops. Some of these companies have, their materials as thin as 6 millimeters so that you can use those big slabs of quartz to line shower walls with. And it just creates this continuous, seamless look in the shower that, you don't have any grout lines. Visually, it's kind of expansive and just creates a really, really neat feature.
All right, let's step outside for a second and tell me a little bit about what's happening there.
Homeowners are looking outdoors to create more living space as they spend more time at home and they want to get outdoors, but maybe they can't go to public spaces or parks or restaurants or stuff like that. They're creating more opportunities in the backyard. And if you want to have a lounge area, a dining space in the backyard, you need shade. The pergola is a great idea to add shade in the backyard, and you can work with a professional to design a custom one, or you can go a simpler route and just build a basic structure that might not take very long. Maybe you can get it up in a weekend or so. No other trend really got put under the microscope this past year more than the open floor plan. If you have an open plan, your kitchen is your dining room and your living area, and you've got a busy household with competing video meetings and school sessions, people quickly saw that these open plans can kind of get out of hand when a lot of activities are happening in the same space. So we did see that some people were considering, partitions or screens, like sliding doors or just a space that you can close off and have some quiet time. And the backyard cottage, or sometimes called a she shed or a shed or an accessory dwelling unit, really took off this year as well. And, I think will continue into 2021. It's a little bit easier to, construct than a home addition where you're ripping out a wall, you're building onto your house. These structures, you can build them up into the backyard, hook up some power, some plumbing to it. You can use them, and it doesn't have to be a lot of space. You can use them for a home office, yoga studio, a music practice space, or just, a place to go inside, close the door, and have some quiet relaxation time away from the craziness that might be happening in the open floor plan inside.
2020 was a year we'd all like to forget. So in 2021, kind of embracing the cozy, right? And embracing health and embracing happiness. And one way you can do that is making an ultra cozy bedroom.
Yeah, the bedroom continues to be a place that we seek refuge in, to be a calm, quiet place. We think of comfort, we think of padding, we think of softness. One way to do that is with a headboard. And we've just seen a lot of these channel-tufted headboards show up this year. It's a way to bring in some kind of visual texture, some dimension to the headboard. You've got the, vertical lines of it that can kind of accentuate the rear wall or the height of the space. And it's just an opportunity to bring in another fabric, another color to make it a little bit more cozy.
So cozier, healthier homes. One thing that comes up a lot is ventilation, natural light. Anything happening there? Any trends there in 2021?
Yeah, ventilation for sure. Air quality was huge this year. It kind of ties back to this expectation that we need our homes to be nourishing. And, the quality of air was a big topic in 2020. On the West Coast, we had a lot of wildfires. this airborne virus that was out there, just had really people thinking about the air quality inside their home. So a huge surge in interest in air purifiers, these HEPA air filters, and a big focus on ventilation and air quality inside of homes. And I think that's catching on, and more people will definitely be interested in that, and will be discussing something like air quality and ventilation with their home design pros.
Thanks, Mitchell. That's a nice overview. And if folks want more, they can check out the full article with all 36 trends. Lots of great stuff there. Thanks for taking the time, and I can't wait to see how this pans out.
Thanks, Rick. Here's to 2021.
Here's the 2021 virtual drink. All right.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.